Feeling live. It still says going live, but sometimes it tricks me and we're live. We are live. Hello, friends. Welcome back to my channel. I see Rebecca was here, maybe still is. She was a little bit early due to my fault. So, all right, let's get started. I am super excited for our conversation today. We're talking about unlocking learning through sensory bins, and I find it essential for preschool and kindergarten. And today I'm here to chat with Mandy. Hey, Mandy.
Hello.
Super excited to have you on here today.
Thank you.
Mandy is a teacher that I respect and I learn a lot from watching her channel. And so why don't you tell them a little bit about you and how they can find your channel?
Sure. So I'm not currently teaching in a preschool classroom, but I've taught in classrooms for about 13 years prior to now, kind of prior to the pandemic. And because of all that and all the learning that I did working in preschoolers, I have started a preschool channel that does ideas for activities, worksheets, art, everything for preschool teachers that they can use in their lesson plans, or even just parents at home who want something to pull together easily for their kiddos at home to have something to do. And so that's kind of the main focus of the channel.
I love it. Like I said, I learn a lot too. I'm a kindergarten teacher, but I think a lot of our pre-K and kindergarten stuff can intermingle, especially when you have first learners.
Yes. So, and hopefully each of the activities you can kind of scale up or scale down, kind of depending on who's using them.
Yeah.
So
today we're going to dive into the world of sensory bins and their incredible importance in preschool and the kindergarten setting. So if you're a parent, a teacher, or just curious about early education, then you're in the right place. So we're going to chat all about it. So I found this quote, I'm not going to lie, or actually I looked it up on ChatGPT, but it says sensory bins, they might look like just a bunch of fun-filled play to some, but they are so much more. Sensory bins are hands-on, interactive learning tools that cater to the unique development needs of young children. And today we're going to explore why these colorful tactile wonders are a must-have in every preschool and kindergarten classroom. So
perfect. I love sensory bins. I was the teacher who loved getting messy in class. And so
okay, I love getting messy if it's not glitter.
Okay, that's funny.
Anything but glitter. Dirt, worms, bugs, give it to me. But
and that's funny. Glitter I could handle all day, and I would throw my kids to someone else to do the worms.
That's so funny. Literally in my classroom, my best friend was my co-teacher. We were in separate rooms, but we were the only two in one building. And my students would go to her like during Christmas for glitter. And they would come to me to teach their science or something else. They would put all their work in Ziplocs before coming back to them.
That's great. That's a really good idea. I wouldn't have thought to do that.
So find a teacher that we are yin and yang. So we were great together.
That's a really great idea, even to send home for parents to keep the glitter out of the car.
Ziplocs, definitely. So what do you think? What are some of the reasons why sensory bins are so important?
So there are so many reasons why they are important. And probably the most obvious is just learning those fine motor skills, because it is very hands-on. And so they are scooping and pouring and doing all kinds of things to learn those fine motor skills. And you can customize your sensory bin with the different skills kind of that you want them to learn. So they could be things that they're using their pinching or gripping skills for, or pouring, like I said, or something like that. So you can customize it to all kinds of different skills. The other thing that I think is kind of neat about sensory bins is that it really uses all of their senses. And so it's very encompassing of just using and exploring and experimenting. Really, it really fosters that learning in them to want to just try things, because there's so many times we tell them, no, you can't do that, and this is just an opportunity for them to just do whatever they want, basically.
I feel like you can see their little wheels turning when they're trying to figure things out and do things. This is like my grandbaby. I mean, not to brag, but he was using tongs. Yeah. 8-year-old. And I was like, wait a minute. it's something I never thought when I was a mom to, give the kids tongs to use
Yeah.
and to play with. And like my daughter-in-law is awesome at thinking about those things. She also works in the school. So
Yeah.
he's like trying to pick up pom-poms with tongs. And I'm like,
Right.
oh, like I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the fun thing about being in the preschool world, because you do learn those things, because it's just not something you just automatically think of. Oh,
Right.
let's throw this in front of you and let you play with it. But the other thing is that it's great. If you need something in your classroom that's going to take up some time that the kids are really going to enjoy, this is a great way to do that. And it's normally, I would say it's a quiet activity, but sometimes you never know, depending on what kind of sensory bin it is, it can get a little crazy. But it always amazes me how long a child will sit and play with a sensory bin, because most of the time it is way longer than you would ever expect.
Right. So this is not in my notes at all, but it's something I was thinking about when you were talking. Sensory bins can be any sizes too. So you could have just, a bucket or a pail, or a lot of times we use cookie sheets or like, baking pans. But in my classroom, they gave me a water table. Okay. And water tables are great, but I didn't want a water table all year long, every day, all day. Yeah. So every month we switched it out and made sensory bins out of this big table. Yeah. And then in, the hotter months is when we made it into a water table. Sure. And they already knew how to play at the table. They knew the rules. So before we got to water.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that is what or most people might think of, is that water table, or using water in a sensory bin. And I hardly have ever used water, honestly, unless it's just going outside to have fun, with water. But now there has been a trend. I have several nieces and nephews, so they kind of keep me up on some of these trends a little bit now. But a lot of people get these individualized sensory bins as well. Have you seen those? Small, they're small, and they're like maybe this big, and they'll have different things in them. And it might just be one or two of each item. So it's kind of like just a mini sensory bin. That's cute. And so they're great to take on vacations or anything like that too, as long as it's not too messy. Right. Right.
You have awesome ideas though. I can't wait to get into some of those. Let's check in with the chat really quick. We have Rebecca. She said, I just dropped my preschooler off at school and they had a sensory bin set up at one of the tables.
Now I'm curious what they had in it.
Did you get a peek? Because I know she's got to kind of drop and run maybe. So I don't know if she gets.
True. Yeah.
My daughters love them, but she has to supervise them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, so we talked about lots of things like the 5 senses it helps with. Oh man. The bins can be themed. Now, I know you do themes as well as I do around different subjects, helping the children like grasp the concepts through play. So what you're teaching, you don't just teach numbers. You teach numbers and then you give them numbers to use and then things like that. So you can make them themed with what you're using. Seashells, letters.
Yeah. So I've done a little bit of both, where it's themed like around a holiday per se. But then also if you're learning like those numbers or things, I like to throw things like maybe you get gummy bears and you throw them all in your sensory bin, and then you have different cups and you let them sort them by color, or you put so many in a different cup. And so, like I said, there's so many things you can do with it, just to customize it however you want.
Those bears. How many classrooms have those little colored bears?
That's true. Yes. And I never knew what to do with them sometimes. So that's
color sorting, and order, putting them in order.
Yes.
Rebecca said, at quick glance, I saw pom-poms.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Oh, super cute. I love this topic. I'm just so excited for this one. I gotta pull my notes back up. So actually, this one website that I was looking up, Mandy, had like sensory bins, like through a psychiatrist's eyes, through a speech therapist. Like, speech therapist said, like when there's kids talking and they use their, communication skills and practice. So sensory bins it was like a kindergarten teacher speaking, a preschool teacher, the psychiatrist, the speech therapist, OT. Like,
wow. Yeah. That's really neat. Yeah. I was thinking about like the socialization and the language development with them. And that is not something that comes first to my mind when I think about sensory bins, probably because I'm in the preschool world and I'm thinking just play and have fun, you know? But I just was thinking about all the things, like even as a teacher, if you have the time to sit with them while they're playing, that you can just talk with them about, and how beneficial that would be for them. And I know you don't always have that time as a teacher, but
Right. But sometimes just to get their little tidbits, we had like centers in the morning, which was more academic, but even the sensory bins were in them sometimes. But then we also had an afternoon where they could choose the centers they wanted to go to. And the water table, sensory bin table was always full.
Always,
So if my folders were done and all my notes were ready to be sent home, I could go around and listen.
And it is fun as the teacher to get to do that. I know, like I said, we don't get to do it as often, but
yeah. Oh, another thing it talks about here was it's calming and therapeutic activity that helps reduce stress and anxiety.
Oh yeah.
So like a calming, I was thinking like a calming corner, maybe with one of those smaller bins you were talking about. But just to get the kids into playing, it says it helps calm them down. And
that's really neat. And if you've seen any of my videos, you know that I put all kinds of stuff in my sensory bin. So it's kind of interesting. Like some kids don't even want to do some of the stuff that I would say I would put in there, just because of the touch of the different, or the feel of the different things. So I could see it as being a way for kids to be able to explore and do things that they would never, ever get to do on a normal basis too.
One time I cut open a pumpkin and we were in the pumpkin and taking out the guts and seeds. And so my rule in my classroom since the first day was always, we try something new, we do it, So a couple of them were like, and oh, and he'd reach and he goes, oh.
So fun. Yeah.
So Rebecca said, put a rake in it, and now it can be a Zen table. That's a good idea. Ooh, calm down Zen area. So do you have one of your sensory bins, or can you tell us one of your latest ones that you've done?
So I don't have one with me, but I will be doing Christmas ones hopefully here pretty soon. I don't have those all pulled together yet. My latest ones that I did were Thanksgiving and fall. And so I did things like corn kernels, and you do have to be a little careful depending on what the age of the kid is and what you put in there. So you want to make sure there's no choking hazards for the real young kids. But let's see, the one that I kind of thought was fun was I did cornmeal, which is something that I don't even know how I thought to put that in there, but I was just kind of trying to think of things that reminded me of fall. And so
when I saw that video, I was like, that's brilliant. Like I've done lots with rice and things like that, but I've never thought cornmeal. That's cool.
Yeah. And I don't know, I don't think I have done like pure like flour yet, because I know it would be really messy.
And just a little bit of moisture gets in there.
Yes. But at the same time, like I said, I don't mind a mess.
Yeah.
So I could see like sitting it outside and doing it and just having fun with it sometime and just kind of playing. But those have been my latest ones. And as for like picking things to go in them, I always like to put like scoops and cups and things like that they can pour and scoop with. But then when I look for things that go in my themed ones, I go to my local craft stores or Dollar Trees or things like that and just see what they have, because most of the time they have something that could easily go in your themed sensory bin, just kind of for fun.
If you want a goopy one, use cornstarch. That's a hard R for me to put in there. And applesauce. It makes a good smelling oobleck. That's right. I go on that one time or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Applesauce and cinnamon. We've done that. One time, one of my sensory bins were those, what do you call them? Orbs or something? They're the little things and you put water in them.
Yes.
Those are fun, but they got nasty quick.
Okay. And yeah, I can see that.
A small bin, maybe that would be good for small hands, but we filled the water table with them. So they were fun for a few days.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, we have them wash their hands beforehand, guys, but it's kindergarten.
Yeah.
Well, you just never know.
Right. Some of the messiest ones I've done is I like to use Jello, and that one is messy, but it also has the scent in it. It has the smell. And so I like that. And especially with little kids, as long as you can get messy, it's great because who cares if they eat it, you know, because it's food. And so I do like using food that can be eaten, just especially with the little kids, because it's not a big deal then.
Right.
I also have done spaghetti. I like spaghetti. That's a fun one because you can play with it. It's stringy, but then you can also, if it's older kids, throw scissors in there and let them just cut the spaghetti for scissor practice. And so that's kind of fun too.
Yeah. Rebecca said water beads can be dangerous, but fun. Yeah, I would say check your class, check your group. And just because I'm kindergarten, most of the years, those kind of things are fine, but there are definitely years I wouldn't have put them in there. Yeah. My first one of the year has always been paper. So I fill it with like all the leftover paper that we had from the year before that was like, what do you call it? Scrap paper. I'll just put the whole bucket of scrap paper in there. And I learned that them just ripping paper is good for their fine motors and muscles. I always put stamps, you know, those paper punch out things in there and scissors and things like that. And that's usually my first one. But of course, we do a whole lesson on how to use scissors, where to use scissors, how to use the punches, like all of that first. But anything they can rip and use those muscles for is really good. Things I didn't think about as a parent.
Right. That is honestly, when I had to do parent teacher conferences, that is the one thing I would just remind them, don't forget to practice those scissor cutting skills or things like that. Because I know you don't love doing it, but it's really good for them.
I was that parent. I was scared.
Yeah.
That's funny. If you were here on Saturday, Rebecca and I just had that conversation that I was worried as a parent. I'm like, sharp scissors. You don't give your kids sharp things, right? Or things they can.
Well, in our classroom, we give them to 13 kids all at once. No.
Right. So I didn't know that. And then I became a teacher and I was like, wow.
And I understand because it does make me a little nervous, especially in the beginning when we start doing it. But
yes, girls with long hair is what I think about. That's really like the main thing for me to worry about with scissors. If they cut paper in the room or cut something in the room, it's not that bad. But if they grab a kid's hair.
I did have a kid one time pull his shirt out and snip like a little piece off of his shirt, but thankfully mom was not concerned. So
if you see them bring the scissors low, but nothing good happens. My second born is better at scissors than my first because of exposure. Mine definitely was too. And she's the one that loves all the arts and crafts stuff. So I wonder if starting them out early helps.
Could be.
For that.
Could be.
Oh, so many things. I'm just so excited for this. What else do we need to tell them? Oh, both girls have given themselves haircuts. Oh, yeah. Mine never did that, thankfully, but oh no, she did it in her kindergarten classroom. And the poor teacher called me crying and you couldn't even see it. She went like this and just went boop, like of the little thing. And her teacher was so sad. I was like,
it happens.
Oh, Rebecca. I did have one of my best friend's little girls went like this to the scalp all the way, like a reverse mohawk. That was a sad day. Yeah. So anyway, the moral of the story is practice at home before they come to us, please.
Yeah.
And just talk to your kids about the importance of how to use them, what they're for. They are not for anything but paper, you know, yarn.
Let's see. I would say like when you're setting up a sensory bin, don't be afraid to try something new because sometimes it doesn't work. And I've had that happen where maybe I'm filming for something and I do, and I go, oh, okay, this is definitely not what I imagined in my head. And I have to start all over or do something different. But I would say probably 90% of the time it works and it's kind of fun. And it's just anytime you can do something new, it's just so much fun. I remember being in the classroom and anytime I love also painting with random things. That is one of the things I love to do. And the reason being is when I would be teaching the classroom and we would paint with vegetables or something like that, the kids loved it. They just thought it was the funniest thing ever. And so
I was thinking potatoes. That's where my mind went.
We painted with a carrot, broccoli, I mean, all kinds of random things. And so I love trying new things and just doing things that would be out of the ordinary for the kids.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, so fun. All right. Well, I think we hit on tons. I found a resource actually. So if you're looking, this is not anything I'm affiliated with or anything, but it was 6 developmental benefits of sensory bins. We didn't even go over all of them, but it's from the Salus University
okay.
Occupational Therapy Institute, and it talks about I'll just tell you the 6 really quick. Opportunity for sensory exploration, improve fine motor skills, increase socialization with peers, cognitive development, language development, and calming activity. I think we touched on them all anyway.
Yeah. And I was thinking when you said that, also the social emotional part of it, learning to work together. That's another really good one, because anytime you can set up an activity that might cause that that friction and you can work through that, it's fantastic.
They learn their problem solving and how it's very important. So awesome. Thanks, Mandy.
Yeah.
All right, so that's about it. That's what we have for you today. The incredible importance of sensory bins in preschool and in kindergarten.
Yes.
Or at home. They're not just bins filled with stuff. They're like windows into a world of learning and exploring and growth. It's so much fun. So if you're a parent and teacher considering creating these bins at home, just have fun with them, explore, find out what your child might like, do new things so they can explore new things, and check out Mandy's channel. She's got all her fall and Thanksgiving ones up there right now. I found some cool ideas from her. And you said you have your Christmas ones coming soon?
Hopefully, yes. I'm working on getting that all pulled together.
No pressure. It's only
I know.
Get to work this morning. Like, you got to get your information out there early.
Yeah.
But that's it. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. If you found this video informative or helpful, please hit the thumbs up and share with others. Don't forget to subscribe, and please go to Mandy's channel and check out her upcoming stuff too. And I have to give a shout out to Rebecca. Rebecca is Rebecca F, online teacher, and she's here on Saturdays or whenever. We kind of collab all the time. So please check out her channel also. And that's it.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right, everyone. We'll see you all next time.
Bye.